my main point from this movie is that it reminds of the original creation mandate in Scripture. That the first thing that God tells people to do is, what is the place that people have in this creation that seems so much bigger and wild and stronger than ourselves? Well, God calls us at one of the many things he tells us to do is subdue creation, to represent him, to image God. And how does Javi describe Kate? He says, this is Kate's favorite slogan, tornado, which seems crazy, taming what is wild in nature. But her core quest is to subdue and choke out a tornado. While most natural disaster movies teach humility and respect in the face of forces of nature, this movie takes a different lane, and it reminds us of the creation mandate to actually try to subdue and deal with nature in a way so that people can survive and live. And so we read in Genesis 1:27 and 28, it says, "So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them." You have a male and female. "And God blessed them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the heavens, over every living thing that moves on the earth." So God creates mankind in his image. Male and female, he creates them. And then human beings are told, go subdue it. Now, this might even ruffle some feathers because a lot of people imagine that the whole earth is the Garden of Eden. But the picture we get in Genesis 1 is that it's good creation, but human beings still have work to do to go subdue creation. So even without sin and rebellion, this work is still work. It's go make it habitable. Turn wild creation into the garden. I think that's the way I read it. And be fruitful and multiply. And what's one of the key issues in this movie is that people, or are we going to care about the science and the money more? And they kind of go back and forth during different scenes in the movie there. And so Kate is trying to make creation habitable. And her journey is all about overcoming the fear that she has when she's failed to do that, and overcoming that fear so that she can love her neighbors and try to help them survive tornadoes. It's just a cool story. I just started to see echoes of Genesis 1, where what you end up happening is people are trying to do this, subduing creation, dealing with tornadoes. And the core conflict between people is either fear to do that job, or why are you chasing tornadoes? Why are you trying to study them? Is it selfish gain, exploitation, or is it for the sake of other people? And that makes it interesting. It turns crazy disaster flick into a question about who I am, how I belong in the world, and how I relate to other people, which makes for good stories.
It does. There's lots of conflict. If there was no fall, maybe there'd be no conflict. Believe it or not.
Well, yeah. and the idea is now in the situation for human beings is after Genesis 3, God says, well, you rebel against me, the ground's going to rebel against you. And so the ground is cursed. Not only so it's almost like fighting through the curse of clearly creation that's wild and wants to kill you, in order to return to this original idea of making the earth habitable for people. It's great.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, of course that you said it really is that kind of wrangling, it's like a rodeo. It's like a rodeo, rodeo. In the film, they go to a rodeo, and it's just a perfect metaphor setting for the whole thing. They've got Stetsons on. It's Midwest. It's their attitude to life, isn't it? But it is hard work. Just like you're trying to round up a few bulls. Raging bulls, raging tornadoes. On the other hand,
yeah. And they both had a story. Kate is like, I lost some friends trying to wrangle a tornado.
Oh yeah.
And Tyler is saying, I quit trying to wrangle cattle because I got my head stepped on.
Oh wow. And the story is edging towards we have things in common, but they don't quite see it yet.
The whole time moving together, and they don't even realize it. It's cool.
No. It's a great picture, though, It is a really good picture, of just human beings, male, female, heaven and earth. They're wrestling one another to try and cooperate, rub up against each other, that kind of masculine, feminine kind of dynamic. But in that fallen world that we live in, that has limited scope to how much we can wrangle and how much we can do, the limitations of human exploration and power. And because we're fallen, and humanity basically suffers the effects of the fall. As you can say, there is an abuse. You have things
Yeah.
like the property developers saying, buying up the homes and selling them for
Yeah.
profit for his one good life. He is profiting from pain. However, we do have even greater wrangler. I wonder his name, Jesus, the greatest wrangler of
Capital
creation.
W Wrangler. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, he's not in it for a short-term property deal. He's in it for eternity.
We hope you enjoyed this snack-sized taste of popcorn theology. Check out the full episode using the link in the description. Subscribe on YouTube for more content. Follow and interact on social media to share with others. And remember, you are not a mindless consumer.